this was the most revolutionary, like, just inflection point of my life. The reason is, it's like culture shock, because the first day of school, I walk in and teachers like, go introduce yourself to the class. I'm like, what's going on, everyone? My name's Lalit. And that's how I knew my name. My parents called me that my whole life. And I got a full class of laughter. And I was like, I'm already getting bullied.
From your name?
Lalit.
Yeah, because I genuinely was like, that's my name. Like, what's wrong? Why are you guys being weird? In my head, right?
Yeah.
And I guess because now I'm in India, right? Now the setting kind of changes to like, I'm an Indian in India, but they look at me like an Indian, like an American, basically. Where like, I'm Indian, but I'm not Indian. So apparently...
Actually, I do want to ask you, I love like origin stories. Like, I just want to hear how things get started. I don't know, it fascinates me. And I know you run a YouTube channel as well. Mainly your focus is like finance and credit card hacks and like basically personal finance stuff. How did that start? How did you get into that?
Yeah, so I'll give you the true origin story, right?
Yeah, give me the truth.
All right, so I was born in the Bronx in New York, from the 5 boroughs, and it always sounds like a joke, but it's the truth. And what that means is that New York City mindset hustle. So my dad would be working. I mean, when I was very young, like I wouldn't see him as often because he was working. And my mom would work night shifts as a, like, not registered nurse, but like kind of for like old age home, kind of, like that type of duty. So not injecting, but like kind of cleaning, bathing them and doing kind of that manual labor, but still it's like a healthcare related, tangential field. So they would balance it where like he's not there in the mornings and like, she's working at night and they're just tag teaming, doing the thing, right? And I remember like vividly, and obviously it's like kids and sugar and candy. My dad would be like, he would give me $1. And at that time, and New York is still expensive as it is back then, like 2 fruit roll-ups, 1 fruit roll-up was 50 cents just for one. And I'm talking, this is like 1999, like 98, 2000, that kind of 25 years ago, if you think about it that way. So what I'm getting at is, there was these like bazooka gums. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah. I remember that.
So that one was 5 cents each. So I knew in my head, like when he gave $1, it was like, go enjoy. I'm not around, but like hopefully you can still have fun, right? When I'm not there, kind of thing. And so I would go down to the convenience store somewhere in whatever, not alone, but like I guess clearly I was there. And the story goes like I think I can get 20 of these, and because cash, I guess like no tax, or maybe I'm a kid giving $1. They're like, whatever, dude, just take it, right? Mm-hmm. But this story is very crucially important to me because it was like, like when I would see my dad, like it's not about money, but it's like the feeling of like a scarcity of resource where I'm like, damn, my dad's trying to help me have a better time by giving me money to replace the time I think he knows he can't spend time with me. So the inverse for me was like, let me earn a shit ton of money so I can buy back the time for others to be able to spend it with me if they want, or I can spend it with them. That's like the main headline.
Damn.
And that's like below the age of
You
whatever.
thought about all this when you were a kid?
Hell yeah, man. Like, why not? Oldest child, man. My brother wasn't around yet.
That's the oldest child thing. That's what it is.
No one else taking away my attention. Like, not that way, but like my brother's not around there yet. Yeah. So I think you're just ruminating in your thoughts,
I was not thinking about that when I was your age, dude. I was like, what toys do I want? What do I want to play with next?
Which game, which Pokemon version do I want, red or blue?
Dang, that's a deep thought for a kid, man. That's
I mean, and because obviously I'm sleeping and my mom's sleeping there, but like those things, like now if I'm really thinking about it, a part of me is like, we're talking about it, so I don't know if it really happened, but those feelings of like that energy of, oh, my mom has to get up to go to work, or oh man, she was sleeping and she has to go for her night shift. Like I don't remember it like night and day, but clearly those memories, like it pulls an emotion from me, if that makes sense.
Maybe you couldn't articulate it, that like the feelings back then, but you felt it though.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So
dang. Okay.
So yeah, that's like the main thing, I guess, maybe, where money and time, and then the whole like systematic kind of the program, right, that people go through is get a job, trade your time for money, and all will be well with like a stable job. But that's like, let's say ages 5 to 6. So then what had happened is we moved a couple places. So my dad, background similar to Sabrina's mom with her influence on cosmetology, was he was a trader on Wall Street, and it wasn't like his whole like 20, 30, 40 career, but when he went through it, I think that influence of like, being money minded, not for the sake of like needing it for resources, but the way to earn money. Like there's a joke is like my dad, he earned money in more like high commission kind of sales and this type of thing. And my mom, maybe you could say closer to more minimum wage. And then I looked at both of them and I was like, dude, why did you put me on a path to earn stable money? Like I work typically like a corporate America job for many years. And I was like, neither of us did this, so why is this the best route? And their answer was like, hey, all the other, Indian community like was just doing this and looks like they're happy, looks like they're making their six figures and everything.
That's such an Asian thing too. Like Indians and Asians are like, oh, everyone else is doing it. This is what you gotta do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, man, like because I and I do kind of believe the whole genes and like if it's in your blood kind of thing to some degree. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, dude, if you know I'm your son, like to my father, like then, the gamble would be to put me on the path where like I can be like a high commission sales guy or like a real estate agent with, eventually maybe you have your own brokerage or what have us, right? Anyhow, the point is, we'd moved around a few times in New York, and obviously like then you have like 2000 times that dot-com bubble. So he was like active during that time, then 2008 recession. So like it's not easy to keep, things happening and keep on going. But luckily then through kind of, you can say smarter money moves, just having the like safety net of like, hey, when you're earning money, at least save it on the side and like all those things. And like we still kind of kept trudging along. But definitely we've seen like the bottom of the barrel, very wealthy, bottom of the barrel, like up and down, up and down, up and down. And so I think deep in my heart, because of that, I always wanted some form of like stability as well. And yeah, like there's stable money and earning it through a job, but like I'll get there. I'm getting there. So I would say that we eventually moved to California for a few years. My mother's brother lived there. And at that time, it was basically like, hey, we had no other family or support in New York at the time. And so California was like, let's just be around some family versus just doing it all like alone. And I'm saying that from my parents' perspective is my understanding. So, we were in California for a little and things were, tough during that 2008 time. And so then the answer was, all right, well, things in America are hard to sustain from like an earnings dollar perspective for things to be standardized or as well as they were prior. So my grandparents, my parents' parents, both of them were getting older on their deathbed at the time, at like pretty much the same time frame. So my parents were like, hey, like we've been in America for X amount of years and, we love our parents and we'd love to see them and all the things. And they said something similar to what your mom said about Malaysia, was basically like, hey, if we don't go to India now to live there for a few years, the moment you go to college in America, like you're not gonna have time to go to India and you'll be so removed from the culture. It's not something they wanted per se. So it was like a win-win of, their parents and then also us learning some culture, I guess, of, their roots. So now I'm in India, like, so 8 years in California, in New York, in my upbringing, 4 years in California, and now 5 years in India from like 2007 to 12 for like basically 8th grade in high school. The first day of school, I walk in and teachers like, go introduce yourself to the class. I'm like, what's going on, everyone? My name's Lalit. And that's how I knew my name. My parents called me that my whole life. And I got a full class of laughter. And I was like, I'm already getting bullied.
From your name?
Lalit.
Yeah, because I genuinely was like, that's my name. Like, what's wrong? Why are you guys being weird? In my head, right?
Yeah.
And I guess because now I'm in India, right? Now the setting kind of changes to like, I'm an Indian in India, but they look at me like an Indian, like an American, basically, where like I'm Indian, but I'm not Indian. So apparently I got to know at that age, I was 12 years old, my name is apparently pronounced properly Lalit.
Oh, okay.
In that way.
Oh, yeah.
I identify with it obviously because I lived there for 5 years, but like Lalit, I respond because my parents call me that, so it's cool. And then like in different places, it's like Lalit, like there's different variations, but I don't personally take offense of it because I'm like it's cool, like it's not that deep to me personally. Some people care and I get it. As long as we're vibing, like what's wrong, like it's just a label to me. Name is name. Anyways, that being said, I was like, okay, this is like crazy. I was going through a culture shock like insane. And the big preface here is February 23rd, 2007, around that plus or minus few days, there was a talent show right before I left from America to India where I saw a friend of mine and his brother do like a beatbox talent show, like beatboxing on stage. And this is like super crucial because they basically were doing like Super Mario. So one guy's like, do 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 do. The other one, hey. I was like, yo, how do you do that, right? And he said, yeah, the basics are like. And I couldn't do it for the life of me. All I could do was like, so like my first beat was
That's
like,
so funny.
like, this type of stuff. So
Wow.
so the reason this matters is when I went to India, all I remembered was like, I love America, like, why am I here? Like all that type of thoughts. And because I went to a school that was an international school, and at that time, a lot of South Koreans were in the city I was in, Hyderabad in India, because there was a lot of IT, like leveraging the IT resources. So where I'm from in India is the reason Indians have the stereotype of, oh, they do IT, like, oh, IT, tech support, those jokes are because South India is number one. Like where I'm from, that city is exactly that. And then North India is the stereotype for, hey, oh, all these Indians own Dunkin' Donuts, subways, gas stations, hotels, motels. That comes from North Indians who are business-minded or focused as a stereotype, and then South Indian is like IT. So basically, these South Koreans, they were popping off with beatbox at the time, and there were jokes about, I think at the Olympics, like, I don't know if it's Olympics, but it was like, they're beating Americans in hip-hop related things like breakdance, and that was like a big deal at the time. So that reason being, like, they understood that I beatbox, and I was learning beatbox from them in India. So I associated myself closer to them than like Indian Indians. And all of this is like just like the introduction of like multicultural things, because I was looking at the Koreans, and being in California, there's a lot of Asians. So when I saw like the Koreans and they didn't know English, I was like, why do you not know English in my head? But I didn't realize they're literally from Korea, like, which
Yeah.
makes sense. So like, you know what I mean? Like, so I was like judging them for not,
Culture
no,
shock.
it's like those American jokes is like, speak American, like,
Oh,
things
God.
like, so that's, hindsight is 2020. But I would say like the biggest thing there is that in California, we walked into a mall and there was a booth for like, hey, you want to be a child star, actor, model, dancer, singer. And so I joined this like acting academy kind of thing, and I had auditions with like all these casting agents, and the next step was to go to LA to actually get casted. But I would say it's, my parents basically were like, hey, this is like extracurricular, this is not like a lifestyle. And I think in my heart I was like, I really wish I could have pursued it. And I was like 11 years old, and I would have thought, it would go from like Go-Gurt to Cinnamon Toast Crunch commercials to maybe more, And the reason this is coming now to India time is, in India, I basically was like doing a lot of theater acting. And this theater acting, being cast, like basically, faking a British accent because India was taken over by the British. So there's like, when I'm acting, I wouldn't talk like this, but if I'm on stage, it's like, you're supposed to say certain lines in a certain way, just like this. And if you don't talk like this, then you're rubbish, you're useless, you're, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So like TV, film versus theater. So I've always loved to act basically, or like express and like, make people happy basically, like telling stand-up jokes, like stand-up comedy jokes. I'd memorize lines from Russell Peters in the morning, tell, people
Russell
jokes.
Peters was awesome.
Yeah, man, dude, I love it.
I grew up on that. That was awesome.
Legit. And so where YouTube comes into this, and there's like a lot of years in the middle here that like I'm going to like glaze over, but basically that want from a young age of like, I really want to act. But then like Sabrina, like, waiting for someone's like, okay, you can go act, like getting an MFA, Master's in Fine Arts, is what I got to know is like what you officially need to do like stuff in the industry to some degree. And I was like, nah, bro, like, no, like I don't need to do this. So YouTube is like a mix of my love for finance plus the fact that I get to, be on camera. So still sufficing that want and need to like perform, but to also like be authentic and original. And like, it's crazy because you're talking about like real like black and white numbers, but then it's like you're expressing it in a way that's like, I wish I also had someone to step by step tell me how to go from 0 to X, what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I know there's a long-winded way of saying like there's a lot of inputs for why YouTube is like, it means more than just like it's scalable in nature from a revenue perspective. I don't need to tell, the biggest thing is I would tell people like the same thing 50 different times. So YouTube was like, I recorded once, people can listen forever. You know what I mean? And I don't need to be there to repeat the same thing. And I love to talk, sure, but like there's a limit, man. Like I'm saying the same thing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a moment in your path where you felt like, I guess, shy or like kind of embarrassed to express or act out? Because for me, like when I was young too, I was a very expressive kid. I have videos of like my mom took videos of me saying stupid jokes and like trying to entertain. But I also like I went through a phase where I was like very reserved and very shy, and I was like I don't want to express myself. And then eventually I kind of grew out of that and became who I am today, where I'm comfortable with all that stuff. But I wonder if that ever happened to you too.
Yeah, it definitely did. My my father was very much like that stereotype where the person who talks the most, like people look at that person like they're all talk. They don't have anything to show for it. And I used to talk a lot, and like I was just too young to realize like yes, you can talk a lot, but like what is the hard skill you have basically? And so basically the quick answer is yes. And the way it worked out was like I would be kind of shut down of like, yo, like it's not shut the F up, but it's kind of like, yo, just keep on talking, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I basically like hit that wall of like, but I just want to express myself, like, why not, So it's kind of like challenging the thing of like, no, I can be having a hard skill and I'm allowed to talk and I will talk. And if you challenge me, it's not like I know more than the counterparty, but like I can hold my own. So I can be myself because I'm giving myself the confidence to be myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, especially in my dad's line of work, it's a lot of sales back in the day. And so what's crazy is like, this is related because years later, like 20 years later, I was telling my dad like, yo, you know Tony Robbins?
Yeah.
So I was listening to Tony Robbins content online on YouTube, and like we'd never talked about it, okay? And he was like, back in the day, he would buy from his infomercials all the cassette tapes, and on his way to work, because it's about confidence, sales, like how to pitch, but how to be confident, but how to, all the things. So like, I guess me and my dad were listening to the same content, but like technically a generation different. So like, it's crazy to see that because like, I think Tony allowed me to think and realize like, you can do whatever, right? Like anything is possible. And it's like, yeah, it's possible. And then the world is your oyster. And you don't need to hurt anyone to like, it's not a zero sum game. It's not like you need to take from someone to get something. It's like, no, we all can vibe, it's just how we all agree basically in the end of the day.
There's enough pie for everybody to eat.
Yeah, exactly. Because like money's not real. So like, if it's not real, if it's made up, it's kind of like, we're talking right now. It's like, how can I help you? How can I, if we take out money, it's like in the end of the day, it goes back to the caveman times. It's like, yo, you need me to pick this bag up to put it on top. Like if you're an airline attendant, if you can't do that part, like for that brief moment, big deal, just do it. You know what I mean? Apart from all the obligations and stuff.
Yeah. Actually, Sabrina, you mentioned something earlier that I want to kind of come back to as well. So you said both of you guys kind of are very like, you guys have a lot of interest in like everything, like multiple areas, and you just like so much to choose from, whatever.
Yeah.
And like I'm kind of the same way too. Like I have so many like hobbies. Like I like fishing, motorcycles, cooking.
Yeah.
Like cars, like photography. I have so many different areas of interest that I like. But it's like sometimes you can't do everything either.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you guys find that balance, or like have you like figured that out? I don't know.
Yeah.
You can start off first.
Yeah, I would say that there's two different ways to look at it where like you can like everything. Like I like a lot of things. I like to learn a lot of things, and I love to execute. And it really just comes down to like prioritizing, like, where you want to spend the most time. I mean, for me personally, it's like chapters of my life, I would call it. Like there's chapters of me learning beatbox and running with it. There's chapters of me learning the stock market, cryptocurrency markets, credit cards, credit as like real estate, basically. Like there's different chapters, and they all sound like financial, but like they really are different avenues. And I would say like they're like foundation blocks. So like you're still like, kind of still spending a little time with each of these, but maybe there is something new that I'm learning even consistently and always, if that makes sense. So the answer is not like every day it's like we're spending an hour fishing, an hour this, hour that, but I think it's like filling up that cup of what you really love to do. And then if you're not happy or something's misaligned, then you realize, oh, you know what, I just need a beatbox for no reason for half an hour to remind myself that I'm still like able to do this. Like, so I don't know if that answers that.
No, yeah.
I agree. It's like allow yourself to explore it, like, and with no pressure, not doing it for like the optics and stuff. Like you're just doing it for yourself. And even if it's like, one day I'm doing like, I don't know, Rubik's Cube blocks for some reason, or one day I'm doing stitching, and then instead of being like, oh man, but I didn't even finish, like I'm only like 25% in, but I want to do something else, then it's like, okay, yeah, like let's do it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, hey, if this is not your interest right now, then it's okay to move on to the next thing, versus like beating yourself up and being like, man, I said I was going to do this thing, but then I didn't do it. And now my interest is somewhere else. And it's like you want to share with other people like what you're doing as well. And naturally, you know, your friends or family will check in with you, be like, hey, how's this doing? And then you're like, actually, I'm doing something else now. But I think that's just like our nature. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like personality is different, and it's okay to embrace that and go along with it. So yeah, that's how I don't really give myself like a certain time to like dive super deep into it. Like when I'm really interested in it, I'll just like go super hard and try to apply it, and then just learn from like my mistakes or failures, and then that's just going to help me learn a bit faster. So that's like what I enjoy, and then also being able to share that with others too. Be like, oh yeah, if you're interested in getting into, let's say, like flower arranging, or if you want to start like baking and stuff like that, I think you should totally just like go all in for it, because why not? You never know unless you try, sort of thing. So it's kind of like even my mom growing up, she was like, oh, you never know unless you try, like go dance class, go to guzheng class. And at first I was like, nah, I don't know. She's like, just give it like 30 minutes. I'm like, oh wait, actually I like this. And then it ends up growing and evolving into something else. So just staying open and like receptive to new things is always good, I would say. Yeah.
I want to add like the prioritization that I was saying earlier, like the organized thought of how I break it down is like in my head, it's like there's things that make money, if that's like the output or the scorecard, right? There's things that, you know, maybe it's like learning a skill which could be monetizable or not. And then there's like pure fun, like is the three kind of buckets or categories. So like if I'm going to do the top level, for me personally, if I'm prioritizing that like the majority of the time, then it's like just letting go of, like if you're just enjoying something, it's like it doesn't need to like go make money. Like it can just be a break kind of thing. Like I watch, she knows, a lot of shows on Netflix or Hulu, but I don't watch them at 1x. I'll go on YouTube, and there's a beautiful channel called Mystery Recapped, and the guy recaps a movie a day, basically, like 15 minutes. I just get the whole 3-hour download right into my head. And I'll spam this at 2x, 3x speed. So I'm actually watching 2 movies, 3 movies, like 5 movies a day. During COVID, it's like, it's ridiculous. So the point is, that's how I'd bucket it, is like, give yourself grace to say like, hey, I'm just doing this thing and nothing could come from it. But like being okay with that, you know, if you're looking at the results, like of why you're doing something, but like, yeah, if you love 10 things and just, if you have all the time in the world, like go do all 10 things at different times. Like if you don't need any output, then go have fun. Right. Like,
yeah.
And I would put the same question to you. Like, how do you do it? Like if especially fishing to me is like no signal, you're there for hours. You may or may not catch any with your bait, like fish, like, yeah. How, you know, does it work for you?
So I think that's my problem, is that I just don't know how to organize it. So for me, like my personality wise, I love trying new things. Like I have no fear of trying something new that I've never done before, but I'm like, yes, I'll do it. I'll try it. Let's go for it. But also I also have this problem where if I'm really interested in a subject, I will like hyperfixate on it. Like if I like am into doing research for this car that I want to buy, I will watch every single YouTube video I can find. Like even if it's like an hour long, I'll like scope through all like the spec sheets. Like I'll read the user's manual from book to book, like cover to cover. Like I will hyperfixate on as much information as I can get for that thing. And then what's left at the end is like, if I do that for like 5 or 6 different things throughout the week, it's just a jumbled mess of like, you know, nothing's organized. It's just random facts that I know. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, what do I do with all this information?
Right. How do I piece it all together?
Yeah. So that's like, I don't know. That's it's kind of like I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's kind of a problem. But yeah, for me, like fishing is actually that specific hobby for me is my one way to like unplug. Like if I ever want to like if I'm working on like my business or working on this podcast or like doing whatever, and I feel like I have so much going on and I just need to like get out and just like have some quiet, you know.
Yeah.
That's my one way of like, I like the no signal, being out in nature, and just like I can't worry about anything because I'm not going to get any emails, I'm not going to get any texts. Like no one can bother me out there for a little bit, and then I'll get back to it when I'm back in the real world. But
The real world.
yeah, the real world. Yeah.
Dang. Nah, that's super powerful, and I really like that because you have a way to physically unplug. If that makes, I always think of like hikers or people who love nature. They're not done from the real world, right? But they're just not connected literally at that point. And I think there's a lot of beauty in that. Similar to like I love to beatbox and stuff, but like the beauty of it for me is always like I don't need like an instrument. I am the thing. Like as long as I'm there, like I don't need oh, my phone's out of battery. It's like, no, I can just do it. Yeah, if I'm sick or something, it hurts to do it or whatever. It's different, but that type of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you do need that time to like go fishing to kind of just like rest your mind versus trying to figure it out all here. Because like, so my friend, she was introducing me to this website. It's called like myhumandesign.com, and she's very, it's Sarah, she's very like, in tune with herself, kind of like a mix of like spirituality, and some people call it woo woo and stuff like that. And I feel like maybe our personalities a little bit similar. So it's like 1/3, like the investigator and martyr. So as an investigator, it's pretty much like when you go into something, you're investigating, like you're getting all the details. You're like, I must lay low until I figure everything out, and then I can share my learnings and stuff. And then the other side of the coin, as the martyr, I think you're also this too, where it's like you learn by like, trial and error, right, and stuff. So also that's just like how you roll. And then when it comes to having all these like ideas, you can put things on like a time bound sort of thing. So it's like the SMART goals where, hey, I want to do this. Let me just give myself a week, or let me give myself a month, and then see how I'm progressing from there. But for you to also go fishing or like, having time to relax, that's where you're able to rest your mind and then kind of tune into your heart or your gut and be like, okay, like I've been doing all these things, but is this what I really want to do?
Yeah.
Does it resonate with me? If not, then that's where you're kind of able to like pull yourself out of like doing the things and, be able to get like more downloads into your mind, be like, yeah, maybe like I just have to redirect my attention somewhere else. And instead of feeling like you have to fill up your schedule to do all these things to be able to start something and stuff like that. Yeah.
Is that so? That website that you mentioned, that's where you got all this from?
Yeah.
Is that like kind of like personality types or like
kind of? Yeah, like
Okay.
personality types, like the Myers-Briggs
Yeah.
thing. And so when I was taking the test, my friend was like, "Oh, I feel like you're a Manigen, which is like manifestor generator." So I took the test. That is completely, it is true. So manifestor generator is where you're able to kind of like, when we're having conversations or if we're in like a cafe, all these like ideas pop up in my mind, and then I'm able to move quickly onto, making the idea happen. So that's where I have to lead with my gut, like my sacral area. And so when my sacral area is like more powerful, the way to kind of like build off on top of that is by being in a mode of responding than forcing something. So like if I'm like, I feel like I have to do this, I feel like I have to do this, like let's say like I feel like I need to make more money right now, I'm going to like pick up a job that I don't like because I need the money right now, instead of waiting for like being in my flow, being in my element, and then as I'm in my element, these opportunities come my way, then I'm responding to these opportunities. So that's where it's like being in alignment is super important, so you're able to like attract these opportunities. I'm still learning more about it, but I hope that kind of makes a little bit sense. Yeah, we could definitely dive deeper into this later and stuff.
Quick question: what is sacral, like a physical part of the body, or is it like a mind thing?
Yeah, it's
what
like
does that mean?
it's like where your
appendix,
gut
maybe?
is. I don't know where.
I don't know.
I don't know where it is physically, but there's kind of like a body chart and stuff. And so there's your crown, your throat chakra.
Oh, like Naruto.
Yeah, like legit, like sacral and like all this other stuff. So I'm still learning more about it, but it really helps me understand a bit more about myself. But you also get to choose like, oh, what does resonate with you, and yeah, I don't know.